Good morning. You muted.
There we go. Good morning.
Normally, I have this problem with Nick. I would not expect that from you.
I thought about it right whenever it was coming on, and then I had to adjust my volume, and I
Yeah.
fixed it quick.
So, how are you doing this morning?
I'm here, tired, still recouping from this weekend.
Yeah, well, this will be a short and sweet show.
Body feels a lot better than it did Saturday, but still a little sore here and there. But
Boy, that went on for a long time. But then again, we had two nights to cover too.
yeah, pretty good for the amount of time that we were on compared to what we had to cover. So
Right. Well, today is a very special episode. This is an idea that we've been kicking around for, I don't know, a couple months now.
yeah, yeah.
Um, about establishing our own Hall of Fame. This is from a fan perspective for the page, Marks on Wrestling. Um, we just hadn't gotten around to, establishing a criteria and, merit system, this, that, and the other. How how we're going to do this, and then with the death of Hulk Hogan, it just
Seemed like the right time.
yeah, the death of Hulk Hogan, and also being that today is his birthday. He'd have been 72 today. It's just seemed like the appropriate time to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
Which, pretty much know without announcing it too much. Of course, you can see the background on the video that we're doing here. So, Hulk Hogan is going to be the first inductee into the Hall of Fame.
yeah. Um, although I haven't really told you this, but I've been kind of wondering, should we do it under the Marks on Wrestling or under Universal Wrestling Network? I'm kind of leaning towards Marks on Wrestling, but
Uh, if we did it under the universe, if we, well, I guess we already got the thing up there. But
I don't know. But here is okay. Let's see if I can do this right. Yeah. So Hulk Hogan, um, born Terry Jean Balea, 1953, died just 3 weeks ago. Um,
yeah, still see it doesn't seem real. You know,
yeah, it
seems
still
like
hasn't.
a statue.
Yeah, it still hasn't really set in. Because he's one of those guys that was so larger than life that um, you just can't imagine him not ever being around.
Yeah.
Um, there was a thing on MSN yesterday that I commented that Hogan was the superhero that we needed in the 80s and ended up being the supervillain that we needed in the 90s. Um, it's hard for one wrestler to try to transcend wrestling once in their career, but this guy did it twice.
Yeah, when his heel turn, of course, before that, he was kind of the backbone wrestler of WWF at the time.
Mhm.
Uh, you know, Even if you didn't watch wrestling, everybody knows who Hulk Hogan was.
Yes, he did.
Um, and then the heel turn at WCW with the whole NWO was like a major, major shock because nobody would ever thought Hogan turned heel. Um, I had heard that he wanted to do it back in WWF before it got changed to WWE, but Vince didn't want to do it.
And from Vince's perspective, I can't say I blame him.
Yeah, because your whole brand is built around this guy for many, many years. Um, so I can see that, but if you marketed it right, which I guess it was the right time
Yeah.
uh, when it did happen, and the way it exploded, because the NWO became huge um, around that time.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think that a heel turn, unless it was the NWO, I don't know if a heel turn would have worked under any other circumstances. Now, I know around 92, 93, a portion of the fans were getting tired of him, but there was still a very large portion that just loved him dearly.
right, and I think when it happened and how it happened worked really great. I don't think it would have had the same impact if he had turned heel in WWF uh, before he had left for WCW. Um, with uh, the big heel thing in the Attitude Era, when after the Montreal Screwjob, Vince saw that saw that he could make a lot more money being a jackass than he could being the good guy, as far as Vince himself, and
One
just a perfect time for him to kind of be the bad guy, which I don't think the Attitude Era would have been as good. The feuds with him and Stone Cold, um, was huge.
Yeah, the Attitude Era, I don't think would have gone as far as it did had it not been for Hogan, because Austin 316 started. The Austin 316 promo was just 2 or 3 weeks before Hogan turned heel, but I think that is because of the NWO. Um, that was when Vince came out and did the whole, we're not going to insult the audience intelligence. We're going to come up with a new attitude, a little more, be more modern in our storylines. Um, and I think all of that stemmed from how things were going over in WCW with the NWO, with it being reality based. And now,
Right.
Steve Austin has often said there is no Stone Cold without Bret Hart, and it's because of their feud that kind of jump started the end of the Attitude.
Yeah.
But I really believe that it is the NWO that truly started um, that switch.
Yeah, because if WCW wasn't starting to beat them in the ratings and start really going in a different direction with wrestling as a whole, I don't see that the WWF at the time changing anything drastically like they did.
Right.
So
Uh,
it's kind of that thing: if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know, WWF at the time was broke. They were losing ratings because of the NWO and what WCW was. So it's like, well, we got to do something different.
yeah, and who would have ever thought um, WCW would be beating WWF at the time?
Yeah.
Uh, even though they had the a monster behind them in Turner Broadcast, and they still weren't getting the kind of backing and everything that they needed, like what Vince McMahon had with the WWF. Um, and honestly, it wasn't until Hulk Hogan came in that things started to turn around for them a little bit. Um, Mean Gene Oakland in the uh, the documentary called "The Rise and Fall of WCW."
Mhm.
Gene Oakland said that Hogan legitimized WCW, and I believe that.
Yeah.
Uh,
You have somebody that big that you basically stole from the other guy. And it's like, hey, let's
yeah,
see what's going over there.
because Hogan, for all intents and purposes, was retired from professional wrestling. He was going full force into to Hollywood. He had been doing movies. He had at the time released Mr. Nanny, Suburban Commando, No Holds Barred. Now, granted, not blockbuster hits, but still, they had some level of success. And he was also in the middle of filming Thunder in Paradise.
Well, you think about it too. In the '80s, I mean, there was a lot of movies coming out. Not all of them were great. I mean, it's not like, and I guess nowadays it's the same way. It's like they got a lot of movies coming out, but they're like rehashing same old story type movies or remaking movies. It's like it's because they run out of ideas. But you had with the '80s, you had the explosion of VHS
Yeah,
also. So it wasn't just a movie theater type thing because a lot of things went straight to
hi Tom.
VHS. Um, so even though Hogan's movies wasn't that great, it was kind of sub up to par of basically a lot of stuff that was coming out during that time.
I I actually thought Mr. Nanny was pretty good. Um, it might actually be his best movie. I've seen most of them. I'm still looking for some. Uh,
I've probably only seen maybe one or two of his movies. It was that whole time of because I was like, that was a time period when I wasn't even watching wrestling at all. Even when he went to WCW, it wasn't until Sting and Hogan, the big Sting Hogan match was getting pushed before I actually started watching it again. One reason being that I didn't have cable where we lived, so if it was on regular networks like Saturday Night's Main Event, I didn't get to watch anything. Mid South was already gone at that time. They had changed to UWF, and even the old NWA stuff I didn't get to watch.
yeah,
So Mid South was my big introduction to wrestling, and then when they changed to UWF, and it kind of went a different route on as far as cable wise, not your usual networks. So I wasn't able to watch too much of it. Of course, UWF didn't last very long um, after the change, and then you get a little bit of Saturday Night's Main Event on Saturdays. You get to watch a little bit of that. Um, and then I guess in my mid-teens, another wrestling show called CCW came on. Uh, I believe on Saturday nights. I really got into that a good bit.
Um,
But as many times as people get tired of Hogan, you think that because to me it seemed like he kept the title, he kept getting the title or had the title for a very long time, which is really not the case. He was only 6 time at WWF or WWE. Um, looking back, it seemed like he had it a lot more than that.
well, when you consider the length of time that he
Oh,
had,
Tom,
yeah, oh yeah, he was in Rocky 3 as well.
yeah,
That's really what jump started his career. Um, he was already going by the name Hulk Hogan then, I think. When yeah, he was.
well, I saw a video yesterday, kind of popped up on my feed. Andre um, meeting Hogan kind of for the first time on screen. Freddie Blassie. Um, they were interviewing Andre, and Vince was talking to him about being this undefeated guy. Eventually one day you're gonna run into somebody that is probably gonna you know be your equal, possibly beat you before you retire. And that's when Blassie come out with, of course, then Hogan, and he was a heel at that time. And of course, them two started jawing off at each other
Hmm.
and all that. So, but this was when Andre was, had the full head of hair. He was a lot smaller, a lot thinner.
Yeah.
He could still move.
Um, when when looking at the length of time that Hogan was the champion, I was kind of surprised by this, but I guess really I shouldn't have been. I looked at the WCW World Title, and Hogan is the only one to hold the title longer than 300 days, and he did that twice. So
At WCW.
in WCW, yeah, when he beat Ric Flair for the title in his debut match, he held on to the title for 469 days. Um, and then when he won it back after turning NWO, he held it for 359 days. And
No,
let's see, the next longest reign below that was Vader, and he had it for 285 days. So already Hulk Hogan, just between his two reigns, was 800 days, which still doesn't quite add up to the reign that he had back in the WWF when he had it for 1,400 and something. Um, but that's still a two pretty lengthy reigns right there.
yeah.
See the first one.
Well,
Um,
WCW seemed to do that a lot too. When big names would come into the company, they'd get a title shot right off and basically take the title. They did the same thing with Big Show.
yeah, Hogan wins the world title in his debut match, which not really that surprising. Um, but it was a sign of it was a change of everything that we knew because nobody would have ever suspected him going to WCW.
Right.
Um, but in a way, it really kind of rejuvenated professional wrestling as a whole. Him doing that. And I think TNA was looking to do the same thing, but by then Hogan was already in his 50s, so he wouldn't have been able to do what he could in WCW. Even though they had that name recognition, it still wasn't enough. Um,
It was just a different. It was just a different time.
yeah.
Um,
So let's run down the list here. Let me zoom in. So let's run down the list here. 6 time WWF champion, including his last reign was during that time that they transitioned from WWF to WWE. So the argument can be made that he was the last WWF champion and the first WWE champion.
yeah, and I remember. I remember when they changed that over, and I was like, "What the heck are they doing?" But of course, it was the whole. Was it World Wildlife Federation sued him for the acronym.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that was a weird time when they changed when they were forced to change the name and they had this "Get the F Out" campaign.
hmm
Um, it's pretty cool when you think about it, but it's just and even still today, it still doesn't feel right seeing WWE.
Right.
But one thing I've noticed the way that people refer to the company is today everyone always says I want to go to WWE or something to that effect. I want to go to WWE. Back then, they always said I want to go to the WWF.
Right.
So it's kind of weird how whenever it was WWF, it was always the WWF. But now when it's WWE, it's always just WWE.
Right.
They don't say the WWE.
Right. Well, it's the mecca of the wrestling. It's the big time.
Yeah. Um, and then he was the 6 time WCW champion. Um, and when he did it, he was the second ever to do that, holding WWF title and WCW title, which is another very big deal. And then also he won the IWGP championship. In fact, he was the first one to hold that title. Um, let's see, where is it? Okay, here we go. So he was the first one to hold that title. He held that one for just over a year. Um, Title is no longer active, but it was a very big deal for Japan. And this is before he ever before he came back to the WWF. Um, Actually, according to this, he held the WWF title and the IWGP title at the same time. Um, because he won it in June of '83 and then lost it in June of '84. By then, he had won the WWF title in January of '84. So he was a dual world champion at the time. Um,
And if you watch a lot of his wrestling, they talk about he didn't have a whole lot of moves. You watch his Japanese matches, he had a lot of actual wrestling ability.
right.
You didn't see that quite as much in the WWF or WWE or WCW for that. But he could do moves, drop kicks, off top rope, all just actual wrestling ability.
Um, yeah, that's very true because nobody knew that anything else ever existed. I would imagine.
Right.
Um, Now, what's unique about the IWGP title is um, Antonio Inoki was the last champion, and then all of a sudden they did away with the title, and then they come in with a new IWGP championship in '87, and Antonio Inoki wins it. So I don't. It doesn't make any sense why they um, changed lineage like that. Um,
It might have been some kind of corporate business thing behind the scenes.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, anyway, he won that title. Um, he had also won some other championships, like in the NWA. He had won two versions of the NWA Southeastern Heavyweight title. One was the Northern Division, and one's the Southern Division.
Right.
Um, let's see, kind of get in here to take a look at when he would have won those titles. Uh, okay, here it is. It was when he was Sterling Golden, um, which I think was the first name that he used when he debuted as a wrestler, Sterling Golden. So he won the Northern Division in December 1st, 1979. And now the Southern version would have to have been right around the same time. Let's see here. June 6th, 1979. And no, he was going by Terry the Hulk Boulder for that one. So he was going by his first real name. And and at one time I actually thought that Boulder was actually his last name, not Balea. So pretty interesting. And those are the really the only other titles that he had won outside of WWF and WCW. Now, in the WWF, I don't have it listed here. He was also a tag team champion with Edge, um, and that was actually I think that was the last championship he held. Um, when winning the tag team title with Edge, so that was pretty cool. He is also a two-time Royal Rumble winner, 1990 and 1991. Um, First ever to do back to back. But at the time when he won that, it wasn't such a big deal as it was when Shawn Michaels won and Steve Austin won. But the two rumbles that he did win, there wasn't really anything on the line. Um, he was already the WWF champion when he won 90, and 91. Originally, Andre the Giant was supposed to win, but he wasn't healthy enough to even get to the match because they were going to have him come in at number 30 and win, just so that they can say that he won a Rumble, but he just was not healthy enough. So Hogan ended up winning again. Um, and that was also the first instant where, even though it wasn't a stipulation, where the winner of the Rumble challenged for the world title at WrestleMania when he went after Sergeant Slaughter. Um, Now, three-time Wrestler of the Year and four-time Match of the Year. That is from the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, their year-end awards that they
Hmm.
with the fan votes. Hogan um, did that three times. Let's see here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. So, Wrestler of the Year was 1987, 91, and 94. It's actually kind of surprising that it was 94, considering he only wrestled in the last 6 months of the year. Um,
I'm trying to see what he has to get now.
and
Um,
and Bret Hart was the world champion for most of '94. So I'm a little surprised that he didn't get it, although he was first runner up in '94. But 87, 8, 91. Oh yeah, that's a hands down thing. Hogan earned it. Now, match of the year. The interesting thing about that is people have always said that Hogan was never really a great worker, a great wrestler. But if you look at his matches in Japan, he could go.
yeah,
Um, it may not be fluid like some of the other guys, but Hogan was a big man, so he's not exactly going to be moving very fluidly. Not like Shawn Michaels or Chris Benoit. Um, but the four matches of the years that he had was 1985, and that was the main event of WrestleMania. So Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. 1988, and that was his match against Andre the Giant at the main event where they did that twin referee thing.
hmm yeah, I remember that one well.
So that was voted match of the year. 1990 was his match with the Ultimate Warrior, which,
That was WrestleMania 6.
yes, um, I have always said his two greatest matches were against Warrior at Mania 6 and Randy Savage at Mania 5. And then his last match of the year was in 2002 against The Rock at Mania 18.
Yeah, that was a very good match.
So so right there, Hogan also became the first to win match of the year in three different decades. I think Shawn
Yes.
Michaels might have been the only other person to do that. Um, let me let me double check here. So Michaels in the '90s, 2000s. Okay, yeah, Michaels did do that in three different decades as well. in the 90s, 2000s, and 2010. So that's technically considered a new decade, though we all know it's not, but you know, whatever. Um, so for somebody to be considered not a great worker to have four matches of the year, I'd say that's it's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and if you go on the wiki, of course, they got a whole separate Wikipedia uh, section just for his accomplishments, and
I
some of his
saw that.
accomplishments. It's like it just goes on and on. We could talk about this thing for 2 hours easily with just all his accomplishments and all. You know, that's just the wrestling part of it. That's not even the movies and the endorsements and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
Um, Now it would be nice if this thing showed the runners up for those for other matches of the year because I'm pretty sure that Hogan was in the running at basically every
Yeah, I would agree.
because the 1989 match of the year was Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair, which that's touted as one of the greatest matches ever. I would imagine that Hogan and Savage were at least in the top three runners up for that year because that was a great match.
Yeah,
Uh,
and they built that thing up really good whenever that whole power, mega powers.
Mega Powers explode.
Yeah, mega powers collide. Is that what it was?
No, it was just NWO for life. They didn't say that with Mega Powers. I don't think they did.
That was that whole thing with um,
Elizabeth.
Mr. getting involved and managing both and all that stuff. And it's the normal thing that happens in wrestling. You got a good tag team um, that goes on for a long time, and then there's something happens, and they wind up one crosses the other, and they feud, and they build that up as a singles match.
The thing with Hogan and Savage is that even though Randy Savage was the world champion and doing a really good job, I thought he was still being overshadowed by Hogan. Um, and it was the same case when Ultimate Warrior was the world champion too. He he was the main event and everything, but it was Hogan's show, and
Well,
he was on.
I think different with Warrior. It was the time. It was the right time to for Hogan to uh, kind of pass the torch. If the Warrior would have been, uh, I guess, a better businessman at the time, I think it would have took off. But I think it was, I guess he thought he was bigger than what he was, as far as like holding out for more money and this and that, being a champion. It was
Yeah,
like, um, but I always liked the Warrior. Warrior was one of my favorites back in the day. That was the first actual uh, pay per view that I actually got to watch as it happened.
I bet that was exciting.
It was. I remember somebody had it on the cable satellite thing, and I went over there to their house and watched it, recorded it. It was good. It was a good show. Now I went back and watched. I went and rented VHSs. Of WrestleManias. WrestleMania 3. WrestleMania 3 was probably the first one I ever saw. But that was on VHS.
Yeah,
Uh, then I went back and saw one, two. Of course, we did a thing not long ago, about a year ago, where we were watching some of the WrestleManias in order. I think they did some shows on those.
I I didn't get into wrestling until a year and a half after the match with Warrior. But I remember first time going back and watching the entire WrestleMania 6 tape, videotape, and even though I knew what was going to happen, the lead up to the match and then watching that match, I was on the edge of my seat because it was just so incredible seeing these because Ultimate Warrior is also larger than life. And you could hear the reaction from the fans. Like they were cheering both of them. It's like they were torn. Who do we yay and who do we boo? Um,
From my recollection, it's kind of one of the first times on that big stage where you see two baby faces going at it.
yeah, I think so.
Now I saw smaller stuff and smaller organizations do sometimes go at it back and forth. It wasn't compared to Hogan and Warrior.
Yeah, that was an incredible time. Um, I keep hearing music.
It's not music; it's a mower.
Oh,
When I get down here, I gotta get out and do 2 yards, two big yards.
okay. Um, but yeah, that was an incredible thing. And then also there's WrestleMania 18 with The Rock. That was just mind blowing because he went in as a heel, and the fans were not having that. So
Yeah, it was. That was a great match.
yeah, um, and then there's that spot where they're standing nose to nose and they're looking back and forth at the fans. There's a reason why I have that clip in our intro because
Yeah,
that is such an iconic moment.
right. I mean, they get in there and of course one big, everybody's cheering for The Rock. It's supposed to be booing Hogan, and it just like it's a
Yeah,
mixed emotion. And towards the middle of it, they realize, you know, they're pulling for Hogan more than they are The Rock. Um, so yeah, it was a good match.
yeah, it was. And then Hulk Hogan is a member of 6 Halls of Fame, um, which is a
Seven
testament
now.
to his career.
Seven now.
7 now. Yeah. He is part of the International Professional Hall of Fame. Um, al- Although it's not called a Hall of Fame, but New Japan Pro Wrestling has what's called the Greatest 18 Club, which is basically a Hall of Fame, and Hulk Hogan is part of that. He is a part of the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame Museum, Hall of Fame and Museum. Um, of course, the WWE Hall of Fame, and he's in there twice, one for himself and one for the NWO.
Right.
Um, okay, so that's international, professional, WWE, Japan. He is also in the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame. Where did I find the other one at?
You count this one?
No. I wonder if maybe I was counting his two inductions in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Could be.
Yeah. Um, but either way, that's still a very impressive feat. And then who knows how many fans Halls of Fame he's a part in. Uh,
Right.
yeah, there can be no question that he has. If there's a wrestling Hall of Fame anywhere, he
He's,
has to be a part of it.
yeah.
Um, I think you're the one who said it that when it comes to the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, Hulk Hogan is the Mount Rushmore. I think you said that, didn't you?
Might have. I don't remember. I do good to remember what I did last week.
Yeah. Well, Hogan is the whole damn mountain,
Yeah, you don't have wrestling without him.
right? And then there's um, 8 WrestleMania main events, unmatched until Roman Reigns came around. Um, Hogan main evented 8 of the first 9. WrestleMania 1, it was him and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff. WrestleMania 2, it's him and King Kong Bundy.
Hmm.
WrestleMania 3, it's him and Andre the Giant. And to me, that is the single most important wrestling match of all time. Not saying greatest match of all time, but most important match of all time. Then at WrestleMania 5, it's him and Randy Savage. WrestleMania 6 against Ultimate Warrior. 7 against Sergeant Slaughter. 8 was Sid Justice. And 9 wasn't even supposed to happen, but it was an impromptu thing in him and Yokozuna. Um, so that's his 8 WrestleMania main events. And nobody would even come close to it until Roman Reigns came around. And even then, you kind of have to look at it differently because Roman Reigns now has 10 WrestleMania main events, but 2 of those are night one. So it just all depends on how you look at it. I look at it as a main event because you closed out the night.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of people that say that the true main event of WrestleMania is the last match, and that's night 2. Okay, I can see that argument too.
Well, it's kind of, I look at it as two individual shows, even though they're one show, it's two individual shows. Um,
Right.
in my opinion, you could have two main events, one for first night, one for the second night. Now, with the SummerSlam being two nighter now, who knows what else. We talked about this on the last show about, they're talking about doing Royal Rumbles and just different ones being a two nighter, which makes perfect business sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I I want the Rumble to be 2 nights so that they can have the two Rumbles headline both nights instead of starting the night off with the Rumble.
And finishing off.
Yeah,
I agree.
because I like 4 matches and then the Rumble, like they always used to do it. Um,
I want to see the Survivor Series come back as the old Survivor Series.
I do too. I like the War Games thing, but I really miss the elimination matches. Um, But granted that the last few years of them doing that just did not have the appeal like they did in the beginning.
Right.
So I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's why they're doing war games, and then eventually they will go back to eliminations. I don't know. Um, but another thing to consider, when you're talking about main events, the first WrestleMania Hulk Hogan main evented, the first Survivor Series Hulk Hogan main evented, first SummerSlam Hulk Hogan main evented. Um, can't really throw the Rumble in there because, well, the very first Royal Rumble it was a tag match, not the Rumble match itself.
Yeah, and back then the Rumble was just a standalone battle royal. It wasn't. You didn't get an automatic, contract for the title back when it
Right.
first started.
That wasn't until after he left the first time around.
Yeah. So, and
Uh,
because I remember him being the champion and being in the Rumble.
yeah,
So now it's not like that. Champion has its own little own match at the sometimes have their own match, but
yeah. Like Brock Lesnar came into the Rumble as the champion.
right.
You saw the dominance in that one. That was a hell of a performance there. And then there was Roman Reigns coming in as defending the title in the Rumble.
Right.
Um, that had never been done. I keep hoping. That's why I was really hoping that John Cena would hold on to the title until December and win the last match and essentially vacate the title so that the Rumble in January they can do it as the winner of this year's Royal Rumble will win the world title. I was really hoping that they were going to do that, but you know, not to happen.
Well, who's to say that somehow or another between then and there it doesn't change hands again and Cena gets it back towards the end. Um, they could do anything they want.
Right. Uh, speaking of that, did you see the clip about what they were talking about doing with Chelsea Green in the Rumble?
Uh,
The one of the ideas that was pitched out there, and this is one that I had years and years and years ago, and had been waiting for them to do something like this. Number 29 comes out, and whoever she is, and the people in the ring, they are all eliminated. There's nobody else in the ring. Number 30 gets the countdown to come out, and it's Chelsea Green. And as soon as she enters the ring, she's the automatic winner of the Rumble.
that'd be that'd be crazy.
Yeah, I have been hoping for years for something like that to happen, and finally somebody pitched it. They thought it was a funny idea, but damn, that'd be so awesome if they had done something like that. And Chelsea Green would have been the perfect one to do that with too.
Hmm.
But it is what it is. So anyway, those are just some of the achievements of Hulk Hogan. There are numerous other things, um, mostly like awards from fans and magazines like Tokyo Sports and Sports Illustrated, um, TNA, other things like that. Um, he had also won 1988 Kids' Choice Awards for favorite male athlete. Um, in 2006, he won a Teen Choice Award for reality male. Oh no, no, no.
The reality show.
That
Of the
was
most,
yeah, that was a nomination. Never mind, that wasn't something he. Oh, here it is. Boys and Girls Clubs of America Hall of Fame. That's the other one.
hmm
Um, so he's in that Hall of Fame. So there's that. There's your six. There's your six. So all in all, Hulk Hogan had one of the greatest wrestling careers anybody could ever hope for. Um, and his legacy is concrete. You there is nothing that can come close to what he did for the world of wrestling.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, you don't have to watch wrestling to know who Hulk Hogan was. And there's a lot of legality stuff in there too, and kind of cancel culture stuff, especially that last time he appeared on Saturday Night's Main Event. Um, the fans just wasn't having him out there, uh, and it's kind of you kind of forget about those things when he passed. Most of the fans anyway. Yeah, one thing. It really depends on the thing too. Doesn't define who you really are.
Right. He carried on a well. He carried the entire industry on his back for many years. Um, and the way that he was with the kids and well even the adults really um, even here in these last few years he made so many memories for people. There was one that I saw recently where a deaf and blind couple went into one of his shops and he went and interacted with them and had them touch his mustache so they would know that that was him. Um, so I know that they greatly appreciated that.
Right.
So he left a lasting impression for a lot of people. Um, he left a lot of good memories for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, I choose not to focus on the negativity. I actually had somebody try to shove that down my throat when I was doing when I was honoring him on the day that he died. Actually,
Mm.
somebody tried to do that to me. Not happening. Um,
Well, that's just the way society is now. It's
yeah,
they remove the negative more than they do the positive.
right. I messaged her. I said my post was not open to negativity at all. You saw that I deleted it. Accept it. So,
There's
um,
enough negativity in the world without somebody chime in on something that person probably never even watched wrestling.
right.
Yeah. So
Um, to say that Hulk Hogan is the greatest of all time, I think is an understatement. He may not have been the greatest wrestler or greatest technician, but he didn't need to be.
You know, he, wrestling would not be where it's at today without Hogan.
Absolutely. Um, there would definitely be no ESPN as they announced it a couple of days ago. No Netflix. Um, WWE would be nowhere near where it's at. In fact, they might even still be in in the '90s today had it not been for him.
Yeah, everything kind of fell in place back when McMahon started pulling the top guys from different territories. Um, that was all good and well, but without having Hogan as one of those top guys or the top guy, I don't think even WrestleMania would have lasted.
Probably not. Probably not. So, but there you have it. Hulk Hogan as the inaugural inductee to the Marks Wrestling Hall of Fame. Um, I wish I could have done a better Hall of Fame logo thing. That was the best I could do. Um, it still looks pretty good, I think.
Did you do that yourself, or did you get AI?
No, I made that up myself. Um, I found the sword and shield online and just put the lettering in it myself, and then I did the overlay on Photoshop, covering half of the ring and putting Hogan in there. So yeah, with the exception of the shield and the sword itself, I made everything else up.
Well, that's good.
Um, had a hell of a time getting the Hulk Hogan logo. This part right here, had a hell of a time getting that. Um,
Get it in there to, I guess, overlay.
no, it was getting getting just that with the transparent background.
I got you. I got you.
Um,
Vectorize it.
that was the hard part. Everything else was easy. It was his personal logo because before I had you saw I typed out his name and every other letter was red and yellow.
Hmm.
I didn't like that, but I had that on there because I wasn't able to get his logo. And then finally I got it, and that was when I sent you the second one. So, but that's how all the other um, things will be. Well, if they have one, if they have one, um, but most of them should, I think. So, so there you have it. The first inductee into the Marks on Wrestling Hall of Fame, Hulk Hogan. Um, a happy birthday to Hogan, Terry Bollea. He would have been 72 years old today. Um, and now he's well, there's conflicting reports. One saying that he's been cremated, and one saying that he has not been cremated. So, so I don't know what the deal is there. Um, but either way, it's like
With
what, huh?
with him, you know, I would say you got to have some kind of memorial spot for fans and all to pay respects and all. Um, Ozzy was buried on his property in England, so he's not open to. open to fans coming by. I'm sure, I wonder what WWE will do as far as a memorial type thing, like a statue or anything. I wonder if they'll actually do anything, or they're just going to kind of shy away from that because of the negativity.
Hi, can you come help me real quick?
Okay, with that, I'm going to end on a clip from Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon back in 1992. Uh,
Hopefully, it won't get flagged.
well, I'm not actually going to share it because last time I tried to share a video, it muted everything. So I am just going to play it. I think from this spot, there's only like 20 seconds. So
Okay.
All of us, your Hulkamaniacs.
here we go. Okay.
And whether or not this is your last match, I'd like to say that on behalf of all of us, your Hulkamaniacs, thank you for the memories, thank you for the inspiration, and thank you for Hulkamania. Thank you.
I don't think I could have said that any better.
Nope.
All right. And definitely thank you for the memories. So until next time, um, whenever we do our next show,
Yeah, we're in the in the works of getting the list together for future Hall of Famers. Jeremy's got his 10 picks, and I got to get my 10 picks and send over, and kind of go from there.
yeah. And yep, we'll figure it out. So, all right, Donald. Well, you have a good rest of the day, relaxing if you can.
Yeah, it ain't that. I got 2 yards to cut.
Oh man, and you're probably sore as hell too.
I feel a lot better than I did.
Yeah. Oh well, good luck with all that.
Well, you have a good day, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Yep. Everybody that watches this show, thank you for playing along, and we'll see you guys later.